Yeah, we back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to one I dropped last night entitled Mali Arrests French Military Veteran in a Failed Overthrow Attempt. Now, in that video, we're talking about the latest developments, the latest news coming out that they tried to take my boy out. They tried to take out General Assimi Goïta, right? The French government, in collaboration with some collaborators on the ground, they came together. But thankfully, due to the efficient work of the Malian intelligence services, the plan was thwarted and the conspirators were arrested. And one of the conspirators is actually, like we said before, a French military veteran, a lieutenant colonel in the French Air Force with almost 30 years of service. And this should be one of the biggest stories in the world right now. You have one government that tried to topple the government of another country. Now, of course, in the headlines and the news that you read, they're going to call him a French national, a French agent. Now, of course, on my channel, I called him what he was. I called him a French military veteran. This is a French Air Force commander, and that's what should be in the headlines, right? A French Air Force commander is currently in custody in Mali for trying to topple the government and assassinate the leader. To me, this should be one of the biggest stories currently right now. It should be the biggest story in the world. But anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be responding to another content creator, right? All love and respect, no beef. I just want to give my commentary on the situation. So I'm going to be reacting to a video from the YouTube channel Toon Network, I believe a brother from Ghana. And I'm just going to, just give my thoughts and add my opinion on the situation, just to kind of, sharpen his analysis. That's all. It's all love, bro. Anyway, I'm going to jump into the clips and I'll be right back.
When I heard of the coup attempt in Mali, I knew it was true. And I also know it won't be the last. By the way, this happened on the 10th of this month, August, and dozens of soldiers numbering about 50 have been arrested. The thing is, why would any of these soldiers want to remove Assimi Goïta or Captain Traoré or Chiani, looking at the great things they are doing? I'll tell you why. And I am confident in my prediction because it is always the case in Africa whenever a military government rules a country. You see, whenever a military leader takes over a country, everything that has to do with the systems that run the country immediately stops. People who sit at the very top of the systems in the countries become careful and fearful of what to do in order not to offend the regime. This is to make them be on the right side of the regime to avoid being targeted. Now, this is where the problems always begin, ladies and gentlemen. And this is when other soldiers may get frustrated with the new order, especially those soldiers whose ranks were higher than the coup leader's rank when they make decisions, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we back. Now, there was some nuggets of truth that the brother had dropped in that clip. When he talks about the centralization of power and how those who might have been at the top of the system under the old regime might now be forced to walk on eggshells or be careful not to be targeted by the new authorities. I do agree with that, but that's natural, especially when you're undergoing a complete overturn of the previous system. You have to be hands-on with how you govern, especially in the early stages, because a nation is like a child, right? So in those early years, you have to be very hands-on with the child. You can't be laissez-faire with the child, right? Now, as the child gets older and becomes more self-sufficient and is able to do things on its own, and the system is kind of running, on autopilot without you having to be so hands-on, that's different. But in those early stages, you have to be hands-on. You have to examine every little detail, or else the child will get sick or the child will die. So when you have a vision you're trying to execute, especially when you're trying to operate in a very turbulent environment like this, where you have French military commanders sneaking into the country to come and kill you, you have to be on top of your game. You cannot leave it up to, I'm going to delegate this off to this guy and I'm going to hope that he gets the job done. No, you have to make sure the job gets done. Now, somebody might call that being a dictator. I call that being a nation builder. Now, something else that he mentioned that I do agree with as well, that might cause friction or tension, especially amongst, black men who are not able to see the bigger picture and are quick to jealousy, is he mentioned how there might be soldiers in the ranks who might have been ranked higher than President Assimi Goïta before he took power. And now some of those guys are forced to take a back seat to his authority. And they might not feel so, ecstatic about that. They might not feel so happy about that. And if you notice, two of the individuals who were arrested in the plot to overthrow the government were actually two brigadier generals, right? Two veteran brigadier generals, both trained in France and both notable figures in the military. Brigadier General General de Brigade Abbas Dembele and Brigadier General Nima Sagara. Now, the reason why I agree with them is because, yeah, I think that's a reality. I think there are certain, soldiers in the military that might not be so excited to be forced to take a back seat to the authority of a lesser soldier or somebody of a lesser rank, right? If you remember, at the end of last year, President Assimi Goïta was actually promoted from colonel to general. Not only just general, but actually the highest rank in the entire military. So he bunny hopped over everybody. So yes, I believe that that's a reality. There might be some veteran, brigadier generals that might not feel so happy seeing the young colonel, bunny hop over everybody. Now, keep in mind, President Assimi Goïta, his father was also a veteran in the military. He comes from a military family, just like the guy who was involved in the plot to overthrow the government. Both of their fathers were well-respected men in the country. So it's not like Goïta is just some random guy. He also was on the front line in combat special forces going against the jihadist terrorists. So Goïta has also earned his stripes, not only on the battlefield, but also diplomatically and geopolitically, going toe-to-toe, head-to-head against the adversary. So I believe that he earned the title of general. But there might be others who might not feel that way. So I do believe that might have played a role in why those brigadier generals conspired against President Assimi Goïta. They might not respect the fact that they got to take a back seat to the general now. Yeah, you got to listen to me now. I'm the commander in chief. And besides that, I do believe that they probably received some very lucrative offers from the French government. Because I don't believe that French military commander, the French Air Force commander, I don't believe that he was acting by himself. I don't think that he took on this mission by himself. I think that he had some state backing, right? I don't think a French military veteran just goes to the Sahel, sneaks into the country, tried to topple the government by himself. No, I think he had some state level assistance in the operation. I think that they probably made them some cash offers, right? Basically saying, listen, if the operation is a success, listen, we got millions of dollars for you, bro. Listen, you're going to be rich forever. Your granddaughter, your great-grandbabies, everybody going to be rich for the next 300 years, right? I think they made them some very lucrative offers. I think they probably enticed them with, government positions, right? You're going to be the Minister of Defense, right? You're going to be the Minister of the Interior. Matter of fact, you're going to be the President of the Transition. And they also might have said, listen, if the operation fails, don't worry. We'll give you free safe asylum in France. We'll give you exile in France. You're going to be good. Your family going to be protected in France. But of course, as you can see, they're in custody. But yeah, I do believe that what he's saying, there was some nuggets of truth. But now I'm going to go into what I slightly disagree with, right? Let's get into it.
But I believe it will be the best bet yet. Your best bet. First, you need a referendum. This is my third time suggesting this to you. You need a referendum to allow the people to legitimize your stay in office. You need a referendum to allow for constitutional rule. The notion that the military leader throws in a white paper as and when he wants and make decisions for the country without consulting key stakeholders is what actually triggers people's agitations, ladies and gentlemen. For as long as every major order or decision will have to come from you or people connected to you before it can be applied, people are going to get fed up eventually and act strangely, even when you are doing the right things. They get fed up, and they got fed up with Thomas Sankara, and his own ally took him out. If you remember, it happened to Kwame Nkrumah in spite of all his achievements during his 6 years rule, and all the greats on this land have suffered it. So please give an ear to my suggestion.
All right, we back. Now, later on in the video, he basically said that President Assimi Goïta needs to head to the elections. Now, here is the reality. Like I said, it's all love, bro. But here is the reality. Let's deal with the facts. Currently, right now, we have a veteran lieutenant colonel of the French Army, the French Air Force, currently in custody. He is charged with collaborating with other high-ranking Malian military personnel on the ground to topple the government and possibly kill President Assimi Goïta, His Excellency. That's the reality, right? Elections don't got nothing to do with that. The French government did not send this guy into the country because of elections, because they wanted to hold elections. That's not why they sent the guy into the country. That's not why they launched this covert operation. The reason why they try to topple the government is because President Assimi Goïta, they view him as an obstacle to their economic interests, to their geopolitical interests. So even if he holds an election tomorrow and he wins by a landslide with 100% of the votes, they're still going to be launching these covert operations to topple the regime. So obviously, I think you're missing the mark on the analysis. The reason why the French government wants to see the regime toppled is not because of elections. It's because President Assimi Goïta is not being cooperative when it comes to the interests of the foreign policy advisors at the French government. And I watched your entire video, bro, and you did not attack the meat of the topic, which is a French military veteran, a French Air Force commander is currently in custody. You didn't even talk about that. You talked about holding elections, my brother. You tried to make it seem like President Assimi Goïta is the one at fault. No, brother, he is not at fault. I don't know if you're scared to point the finger at the adversary, but when you send operatives into a foreign country with the goals of toppling the regime, you are the one at fault, and you must be the one that we talk about. We're not going to point the finger at the victim. They tried to make him a victim. What I'm saying is we're not going to take this story, right, where we have high-ranking foreign military officers plotting a coup inside your own borders, right? That's the main topic. We're not going to deviate from that topic, right? It's not about elections. It's not about a referendum. We have foreign military commanders inside the country collaborating with individuals on the ground to kill the head of state. And it has nothing to do with organizing elections. It's due to the fact that you have closed the French military bases. You have embarrassed the French government. You have evicted us from the territory. You have taken the gold mines back. You have set off a chain reaction in the region where neighboring countries have saw what you did and they followed in your footsteps and taken on the same policies. It was due to the actions that you have taken that has destroyed French influence in the region. And history will record it that it was President Assimi Goïta that took the first step, which led to the destruction of French influence in the region. That is why you have a French Air Force commander sneaking inside the country trying to topple the government. That is why. It's not because of a referendum. It's not because of elections. We can look at history and we have seen the French government take the same actions against so-called democratically elected leaders who are governing under constitutional rule. They still did covert operations to destabilize and topple the governments. So obviously the conversation should not be about referendums or elections. The conversation should be that we have a hostile adversary that for hundreds of years, multiple centuries, he has been on the attack, on the offensive, relentless, like a moving train. That is the conversation we should be having. If we are men, that is the conversation that we should be having. If you're going to talk about referendums and elections, brother, you sound like you're scared to talk about the elephant in the room. It sounds like you're scared to talk about the adversary. It sounds like you're scared to point him out and talk about him and call him out. But listen, on another note, I want to actually focus on the positive. I want to actually give a big shout out to my brothers for the fact that it seems like they have some very excellent intelligence services. I got to admit, it seems like they have some very impressive intelligence networks, right? Every single shot taken by the adversary has been blocked. Every single shot they put up, they miss. So that goes to show the intelligence networks are very robust. Every time the adversary makes a move, he gets stopped. He gets intercepted. He gets arrested. Man, my brothers, they on top of their game. But anyways, in summary, right? This has nothing to do with elections. This situation is... We have a hostile state called France. We have a state that is hostile, openly belligerent. They have decided to send one of their veteran military officials, a lieutenant colonel, a French commander. They have sent him into the country on a covert operation to organize a conspiracy with some Malian generals, right? With some Malian soldiers to topple the government and eliminate the head of state. That is the facts. And that is what we should be focusing on. And the reason why they did that was because they wanted to eliminate the current administration and replace it with a friendlier regime, a more cooperative regime, right? Somebody who will bring the old contracts back on the books, the old deals back on the books, someone who will give the gold mines back to the multinationals. And last but not least, one of the biggest reasons why they wanted to topple the regime is because they want to install a new administration that will cut all dealings with Vladimir Putin. They want a new administration that will cut all dealings with Russia and go back to the previous diplomatic relations, right? They don't like seeing President Assimi Goïta, get fresh and then, having drinks with Vladimir Putin. They don't like that. That gets them angry. That gets them enraged, right? So another reason why they want to topple the government is because they want a new guy in office that will excommunicate and terminate all relations with Vladimir Putin, right? That way bringing Western influence back to the region. That's the reality. And like I said, I don't got nothing, no beef with the brother. It's all love, like I said. But I just think that the analysis was slightly off the mark. I just think you missed it just by a little bit, bro. I definitely think you said some good things, but I definitely think that the analysis, you just missed it. So I just wanted to sharpen the analysis for you. That's all, bro. But anyways, like I said, I'm not going to be here too long, man. It's your boy Neferkari the Salim back in the building. Yes, indeed. 21 Cannons, first single of the new project. Pin comment at the top. Subscribe to the Patreon, NTD1814, and I'm gone. Peace. King of the North and I feel like Moise. Took a few losses, I'm back on my feet. Selling they soul for trinkets and cash. Right on the front like the leader from Chad. Feel like a see me, I feel like I'm Idris. Walking on gold, I handle my business. Honor, integrity, money, and power. Told me she love me, she want me in power. Told her I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Told her come over, come see me in person. Told her come over, I'm sick of the talking. Don't got no time cause that money be calling. Working all night and I'm up in the morning. Love when I call her, she love my attention. Body and soul, I'm truly protected. Back on that road and big body business. Told her I love her, I told her she mine. Get in that passenger seat, we gon' ride. Back on my mission, that money been stacking. Came from the bottom, I'm steady expanding. Run to the check and I pull up and vanish. Grabbing the neck from the back when I smash. Don't need no question, they know it's official. Cut from the cloth and my life ain't no fiction. Ride for the scene like I'm army enlist. Gotta stay focused, I'm moving deliberate. Heart of a king and my heart full of pain. Look at my neck and it's flooded with chains. And I got Desaline blood in my veins. Enemy watching, I stay with a flame. Keep it 100, they know how we move. Black on black beamer, interior blue. How you gon' leave me? I told you I love you. Pain in my heart, you knew I was trouble. Enemy watching, they wanna invade it. Hoping my brothers don't never betray us. Been on my mind and I hope I can save us. Look at my flaws, I don't see perfection. But I'm authentic, I'm whipping the 7. Like it's a phantom, I'm still manifesting. Gotta get money, I gotta get paid. Stay on my toes when I'm ducking these snakes. Go to my wrist and the queen on my arm. Feeling my energy, loving my charm. Might go put Desaline face on a piece. Ready for war, that's how you get peace. Know I'm protected, I'm ready for action. When I walk in, I need 21 cannons. Secret location, I'm up in the palace. One of a kind and she loving my manners. One of a kind and I'm telling the truth. His and her Bentleys, I gotta get two. Feeling like future, we never gon' lose. Feeling like Garvey, I'm running the block. Entering off firm and I'm letting off shots. King of the North and I'm up at the top. How you gon' leave me? I told you I love you. Pain in my heart and you knew I was trouble. Enemy watching, they wanna invade it. Hoping my brothers don't never betray us. Been on my mind and I hope I can save us. Look at my flaws, I don't